What's up? It's the Blue. I'm back. It's week 3 of our Soccer 101 teaching series, and I am excited because this week we're talking all about the strikers, the forwards, the guys who go out there and get buckets. My position. I'm super excited to come teach you guys all about what I love to do on the field. And today we're going to be really focusing on a couple different types of strikers and forwards, and then really show you guys how they kind of maneuver and play on the field. So I'm definitely excited. Hope you guys are ready to learn some more, and let's get right into it, all right? So before we get into it, we got to obviously go back over our formation. So remember, there are tons of different variations of how you can line up on a soccer pitch. These are a couple of some of the more popular ones. Some you'll see in video games, obviously. The ones you'll see when you're playing or watching a game live on TV or in person. Some of the more traditional ones are right here. But as you'll notice, this week we're going to be talking about the ones that are up at the top, the guys who go out there and get buckets. So I'm super excited to start to touch base a little bit on the strikers and forwards on the field. And the first one we're going to talk about are our center forwards. So check this out. I've got my nice little breakdown right here. So we're going to start with center forwards. They are the ones who are tall and they are strong in the air. Normally, they're the ones that are going to play with their back to the ball, back to the goal, really putting defenders on them to kind of gain possession of the ball at their feet, to play it out to more wing players, to midfielders, players who are advancing from the midfield and defensive positions. And they're the ones that really kind of generate or hold on to the ball when you need them most. So they're going to be always in the box. They're really poachers in a sense. They don't really play wide. They stay very central, so they're very direct in their offensive play. And because of that, a lot of times we put crosses into the middle of the field. They're the ones that are going up in the air, heading them in. When goals are being shot out from wide or from outside the box, they're the ones who are already there, ready to catch the rebound. So most often you're going to see these type of players right now. Currently, that's like Tammy Abraham for Chelsea. I'm not really a player like that for Liverpool in terms of our two favorite teams. But that's something that, guys like Tammy Abraham, Olivier Giroud, who is a France International World Cup winning goal scorer for France. He's very, very good at being a center forward. So most often you're going to see them really single high. They do sometimes often have players wide of them, but most often they're by themselves with one other person below them. But I'll show you guys that a little bit later on. And then the second ones we're going to talk about is obviously our wingers, so our wide players, and they're the off-the-shoulder strikers. So sometimes you'll hear some people call them center forwards versus strikers. Center forwards, again, more size, more physicality. Strikers are more agile, quick, great with the ball at their feet. I got that here, down here, right here. They're very good when it comes to like skill moves, dribbling, passing. Some of those quicker, like the Mohamed Salahs, the Sadio Manes for Liverpool, the Timo Werners for us. Even Christian Pulisic is kind of a wing striker kind of player. So those are the kind of players you're going to think of when you're thinking of wide winger players. Their runs are going to be super creative. They're always trying to get off the shoulder of defenders, so they're trying to get in behind. That's a big risk because for us, using our speed or agility oftentimes can get us called offsides, which in soccer means we're just behind the last defender, and that can be literally if you watch Premier League, that can be by your toenail. So it's very important to have great patience and timing as a wide winger or a striker, because you're constantly having to battle that am I on, am I off kind of mentality. But again, they're quick, they're agile, they get out, they go, they run. And their runs are never direct. They're always trying to be creative in how they make space for the midfield players behind them who are coming up in that advancing attacking role. So, at the end of the day, though, they get buckets. That's what we do. We score. So now that we've kind of talked a little bit about what to expect, what their responsibility is, let's jump into where they look like positionally when it comes to moving on the field. So this is a little slight variation of what you'll see when it comes to an attacking zone. So this is obviously the midfield area where you'll see what we talked about last week, right midfielders, central midfielders, defensive midfielders. Those type of positions are playing here in the middle of the pitch. Obviously, defense is back here. So when it comes to attacking, you have your wingers, who are your left and your right wingers, playing wide. Central are your center forwards, who play central, or they play, again, that single high center forward position, sometimes stacked like this, or playing one with two midfielders normally playing behind them. And so when they look like this, we can kind of dive into them individually. So check this out. Boom. So up top, we've got what's called our withdrawn striker. He's kind of basically a center forward, or sometimes we'll even play more agile, quicker players in behind in hopes that this guy up top can either play the ball back and start to create some space so they can get in behind. That central partnership right here is super important in kind of formations like this. But most often you're going to see them being some more of an advanced midfield position. But again, it can be that center forward position who is big, who's strong, holds up play, gets the ball, gets the defender on their back, and starts to be able to work the ball out to the wide areas as they start to move forward. Then obviously you have your wingers who are down here. They're going to be your wide players. Again, we mentioned Sadio Mane, Mohamed Salah. We've talked a little bit about Christian Pulisic, who is an American winger, not only for Chelsea, my home club, boom, but also, just international for our country. So it's a big deal. He's kind of the man. And then we obviously have our center forwards, who are going to be the likes of the Olivier Giroud's, the Tammy Abrahams. Didier Drogba was a huge center forward for Chelsea as far as a legend in the club. Even up here as a withdrawn striker, Gianfranco Zola, also a boss. So these positions are all pivotal, very similar in kind of how they play. Center forwards and withdrawn strikers are those central striker positions being the most similar. Wingers are obviously going to be different because they're more agile. They're going to be better on the ball. They're being more creative in how they get into space. But at the end of the day, strikers, their job is just to score and to get buckets. And as we're playing out of these different positions, playing in these attacking zones, obviously our ability to pass, to move the ball around, to hold up play is important. But more than that, especially when you're playing in those wide positions with the likes of how the game is played nowadays, it's really important that you're able to be creative in how you're making your runs. You're patient and not being offsides, because VAR will overturn literally everything. And then on top of that, you got to be able to know how to play in space and get in behind defenders. So you want to be a nightmare for every defender who sees you and every goalie who sees you. And Liverpool and Chelsea have some guys who got some money in the bank. So those are our strikers. Those are our attacking positions. Really short and sweet this week because there's not a whole lot of responsibility. There is some fluidity in how they move and kind of how they play stylistically. But for strikers and center forwards, we're basically all the same. We try to be, if you're bigger, more aggressive, more, obviously not as quick, then you're going to play more central. If you're quicker, you're more agile, more athletic, you're probably going to play wider. And you want to see strikers who have an ability to play not only with their dominant foot, but a little bit with their weaker foot. They have ability to play on the ball when it comes to dribbling and getting past defenders, but they're also smart in being able to hold up play, pass the ball around, and just being able to make things happen when it comes to the attacking side of the ball. So that's it for forwards and attackers this week. Now you guys have kind of learned the entirety of what it is to be a player of soccer. We're going to continue to jump in to show you guys the rules, how things are going to continue to flow with the game now and how it's evolved from history. And we hope that kind of continue to generate the conversation of more soccer knowledge for you guys in the future. So keep checking out the page. We had a great time giving you guys this information over the last 3 weeks, and the next week we're going to jump into some more facts and fun questions. So please jump into our DMs with any questions or any other information you guys would like to know, so we can share that next week in our finale of our Soccer 101 teaching series. So it's it for me, the Blue. See you guys soon.